morning, sweetheart. It is lovely to see you. Outside here on this beautiful autumn morning, there is the sky, which is just the very best thing to show you. You know, it's beautiful and it's another very still day. So, no wind to speak of. And there's the garden. Can't even show you a silhouette of me because that's here. Waving at you. G'day, Mike. It's lovely to see you. Here's something really simple and beautiful. I've got to just line myself up with the sun. Look at the dew sparkling on the grass. It's just one of my favourite things. Amy, good morning. Good morning, every beautiful being who's joining in. It is so nice to see you. This is an autumn morning. Oh, look, we have a little fly that's come into the picture. Going, I'm cold. I'm not really, charged up with sunlight enough to move around much yet, but here I am. Look at it. Morning, Andrew. It's great to see you. And look at the sun just bouncing off. Lindsay, it's you! Yay! You made it! Look at the sun just bouncing off the dewdrops on this granny's bonnet. It's just beautiful here. So I love these still mornings, and while the garden's not got an awful lot going on, there's always something to see if you look close enough. Oh, look, we've got bits of loganberry that I have to dig out. They'll take over the world. It's very hard to remove any of the ranunculus species once you decide you don't want them where you had them. Look at the parsley running to flower. It's just beautiful. And, oh dear, the lavender, see how it's gone all leggy? It needs pruning. It's been slightly neglected. See, the middle of the bush has gotten all empty. It's got to be cut back. That's life with the lavender. If you don't prune them, they get exactly like that. Look, more dewdrops. In the shade, you can see them better. So yeah, I love a dewy morning. And look, see, there's the buttercup and it's covered in dew as well. See why I love foliage? Oh look, there's a little snail right there in the middle of the screen now. So there's just always something beautiful here, even if it's not a huge great flower. And there's the garden above the retaining wall, which is pretty awesome because 25 years ago there was nothing there. Yeah, gardens take time. Morning, morning, morning. I'm so grateful to be here with you. And I'm so grateful to have a brimmed hat because, as you can tell, the sun is right in front of me and it's bright. So, today, when I look back on yesterday and I was thinking about today, I thought, geez, there's a whole piece that I talked about in the post yesterday that I didn't talk about in real life at all. And it was the piece of, if you've got this thing, this problem in your life that you want to overcome, whatever it is, the way to do that is actually to become the person who simply doesn't have the problem. Jan, good morning, sweetie. And you might say to me, well, that's all very well and good, but how the hell do you do that? And the reason why I spent lots of yesterday talking about brain waves and slowing our brains down and getting out of the conscious analytical mind and being able to go into the subconscious, unconscious, implicit systems in our memory and in our body where things are stored that you simply can't make a conscious choice about, because you can try to think your way out of trauma and, really ingrained beliefs and everything till the cows come home. Nothing's going to change because this is the conscious mind and the explicit memory system, but the thing you're trying to change is in the unconscious mind often and in the implicit memory system. So to get from one to the other, you have to be able to slow your brain down. And so yesterday, because I just had this burn on to talk about brainwaves and why it's worth learning how to do that, that's the point, right? But I never actually talked about this whole thing of going to the place or the reality or the dimension or whatever word you want to use, where you are the person who simply doesn't have the problem at all. And who knew that was even possible? Because what I always used to think when people said that, and they talk about acting as if and behaving like the person, and I talk about, speak, think, breathe, live, move, everything. Being that person who doesn't have the problem that you're currently facing. And what I didn't understand about that for so long, because I mean, it's all very well to have people tell you this stuff, but what the hell does that mean, and how do you do it, and what? You know, it's much more than an intellectual, conscious choice to say, oh, well, I'm going to be like that person now. Because for me, what that meant was, I was just doing a whole ton of pretending, and it didn't feel real to me, and I had no way to get my mind and my body to be in agreement. And I could think what I wanted with my logical, conscious, analytical mind, but my body was saying, yeah, piss off. I'm in lack, or I'm sad, or I'm scared, or whatever it is. And you're saying, oh, I feel different. No, I fucking don't. And I didn't understand how to address that problem. And it was a problem. It was big. It was overwhelming. It was, well, no, I can't do that. That's bullshit. It didn't feel true for me. I didn't get it, and I didn't understand how to move through it. And I do now. Because, you know, with my brain, I'm using my conscious, explicit self, identity, memories, everything else to try and change something that's implicit in me. And, I don't know, that's like trying to reach the bottom of the sea with a teaspoon. You can't. It just doesn't reach. It's just not there. Oh, thank you, Dale. I so appreciate your shares while I'm live. Dale! Lindsay! Lindsay, thank you. So, this is the part I want to talk about today, but if you didn't see, hear, absorb yesterday, do pick that up at some stage, because you've got to understand that you can't really make a change like this without being able to get into the fundamental part of yourself where this kind of stuff really happens. Sandy, get there, sweetie. Hello to everybody who's jumping on. It's lovely to see you. So that's kind of a given, that if you're going to make these changes, you have to be able to access the part of yourself where you normally can't. And to do that, you have to slow down your brain waves. What that enables you to do, and there's a whole process, there's a whole practice around that, and people have different ways of doing it, I just know what works for me, is it allows me to become in my bones and in my soul and in my identity and who I actually really know and think and feel and believe I am when I'm not paying attention, when I'm not consciously choosing to say, I feel abundant, I feel healthy, I feel worthy, I feel whatever, you know, because 95% of the time you're not paying attention. You know, I mean, this hasn't happened to me because I've never been that relaxed behind the wheel, but a lot of people, you know, they get behind the wheel, they're driving, and they drive for 500 kilometres or, 200 miles or whatever it is, and they don't even notice the road because they're off in la-la land thinking, and their unconscious mind is just driving the car for them. And, you only sort of wake up when the low fuel alarm goes off, or you get a flat tyre, or something weird, you go past and you wonder and you think, what was that? Something interrupts your state. But you've gone somewhere else. And who was driving the car while you were doing that? Well, the 95% of you that is on automatic, the implicit memory systems, is doing that. And that's the part of us that's really living most of the time. And that's why I said yesterday, if you really want to change who you are, you first got to become conscious of the part of you that's driving the car when you're not paying attention, which it's doing most of the time. Because who's deciding how you're thinking and feeling when you're eating dinner and you're paying attention to your food, but you don't even know that there's programs running in the back of your mind, you're responding to whatever it is? I so understand this for myself. So 95% of the time we're just running on automatic, and that's great. Like I said yesterday, you don't want to have to learn to walk every day. You don't want to have to learn to eat and to swallow and to talk and to you don't want to have to learn all the rules of society every day. Automatic's handy, except if it's limiting. So, to change who we are, you can't make a choice with the 5% of your mind that's conscious and expect it to change. Boom, the 95% of you that isn't. Yeah, how did I get here? Oh, you were just running on automatic, honey. That's what we do, We lose track of space and time, we get into alpha, and automatic self just carries on. And when you're in that state, you don't have to think about it, right? You are an automatic. It just happens. It's just who you are, that you're driving the car and not paying attention. And it's fine. It's no big drama. And it's the same whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. It's fine, it's normal, it's no big drama that you are feeling awful, because that's just who you are. It's the 95% of you that does that every day on automatic. And so you have to start paying attention, g'day Abigail, and realise that maybe it's not who you are, it's just who you're used to being. And that whole process of, okay, gee, who was I today? Did I like that? And if there was something I was going to do better tomorrow, what would it be? And that, that's the next step. Once you realise, oh my God, I'm making a hash of this for whatever reason, to decide what you want to be different about next time. Because you're always going to get another opportunity, because you're always going to keep on being you. Until you change being you, you're going to keep on being you. So you're going to continue to have the same experience as being who you've always been until you become someone else. And so you're going to get more opportunities to say, well, I didn't really like that experience. How do I want it to be next time? And if I want it to be different, what could I do or say or think or whatever or feel differently? And, it's just like a child learning to walk, really. They try all kinds of options, and eventually their brain and their body finds a way to do the new thing that they don't know how to do. And you know that you have really changed when one day you open your eyes and you think, oh gee, I'm just being that happy person and I wasn't even thinking about it. It's just who I am now. So you can't just make a conscious choice. You got to make a subconscious and an unconscious choice. And the only way to really do that is to get down into your own operating system and make the decisions and the choices and the changes there that allow you, when you open your eyes, to continue taking steps into the unknown. And by that I mean it is unknown for my body, actually. I've been really observing this in the last little while. It is unknown for my body to not run a certain program which tightens up certain muscles, which means that it goes into hypervigilance and won't settle down and won't digest food. I've really started to recognise that it's a program. And that's just, I have to realise my body is running an automatic program. It's been running it for decades. And am I going to continue to let it do that? And I've been working with it. It flips on and off like a switch, and I'm more conscious of it now. But the point I want to make is that when you start going into behaving and being and feeling like a different person, it can feel really, really wrong. Now, why is that? Because your body says, hang on a minute, this is different. I'm not used to this. And remember, the body likes things to stay the same. It likes things to stay the same because it knows whatever it's survived in the past, it can survive in the future. Now, long term that might not be so good for you, because being in the state of survival long term actually pushes the genetic buttons for disease. It's not a good thing. Good morning, Zing Marie. But the body knows what to do, so it stays on that program and it likes to do what it knows how to do. And for me to come out of that resting state of hypervigilance and all of that stuff, for me to come out of that state, it actually can feel really weird sometimes, and sometimes it feels downright damn strange and wrong. The body fights what it doesn't know. Yeah, and so you're breaking the cycles that you see, and you're trying hard. And that means, and God, I relate to this, not that I have PTSD, but I relate to this. If you're trying, and you're efforting, and you're doing things that you can see, that you're probably doing a lot with your conscious mind and your awareness. And I take my hat off to you, Abigail, because it's a big thing to move through. I'm no way criticising you, belittling what you've done, because you've done miracles. It's amazing what you've done. There just comes a point where you have to get into the implicit systems in the mind and the body and change it there. And when you can do that, and you can't do this by thinking about it, it just isn't possible. It doesn't work. You're trying to empty the sea with a teaspoon. It just doesn't work. When you find the ways to do that, and I've talked enough about that as much as I can, because you don't talk about it so much. You've got to go and have the experience. And there's only one way that I can have that experience, and I've talked about that too. Then it starts to change. I mean, sitting in my meditation this morning, and then, you get to lie down at the end, and my body was kicking and bucking because it did not want to stop feeling hypervigilance. Gillian! G'day, Lynn! It's lovely to see you both. I slept well, and then I woke up, and normally I wake up and I go back to sleep very quickly. I didn't. I worked through my energy centers, and then I was starting to doze off, and then I woke up with this weird thing, and then I dozed off again, and I woke up with a nightmare, and I never have nightmares. It's like, oh, this is interesting. And then it was time to wake up. The alarm went, so I probably dozed off again, but not for long. Got up and I thought, oh, this must be something that's surfacing for me to deal with and overcome in my meditation. My body did not want to quiet down. It wanted to be, it wanted to carry on doing what it had done early this morning, because it was something that was coming up for me to overcome. And I discovered there was just all this fear, but it was coming out of my body. It wasn't stuff I was conscious of. And I felt it release as energy out of my body. I felt it literally shifting out of places in my body that have been tight for so long. There's a spot in my diaphragm, tightens up, and I've been working with it for months. I mean, the whole diaphragm I've been working with for months. But more recently, it's been just this one place that tightens up. The whole thing gets torsioned enough that it puts pressure on my vagus nerve, and then my heart rate increases, and I can't slow it down. Now, it's not an arrhythmia, it's just a slight elevation. But if my heart rate's elevated, I can't go to sleep. And it would do this all night. So just keep going. Keep practicing, Lindsay. It's not wrong. It just means you're slowing down your brain waves. That's good. What you're learning, and Dr. Joe says this. Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that. If you practice his kind of meditation, you're learning to slow your brain waves down. If you stop and go still, you're going to doze off because you're going from beta to alpha to theta. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. What you have to learn to do is stay in alpha without dozing off through theta into delta. So keep practicing. Don't give in. Understand that you're actually succeeding. That's just something else that your body's saying, oh, I don't know how to do this. You're learning a new skill. I'm so glad that you have that experience and you're going, oh, wow, I keep dozing off. But that's what happens. Your brainwaves are slowing down. You're getting out of that beta, anxiety, stress, whatever it is, depression state, high beta, coming down, relaxing and going to alpha. Your goal is to practice staying there. Yeah, not so good when you're driving. So my humble and heartfelt suggestion to you is to get into those meditations and expect to come up against yourself, because your body doesn't want to be present, see? It doesn't want to stay in the present moment and actually heal, because that's not familiar to it. It doesn't know what that's about. Your body just wants to do what it knows how to do. So when you're saying, I want you to calm down, I want you to be present, it says, I don't know how to do this. I'm either going to be or I'm going to conk out. You're learning to stay in the middle. That's the practice. I have the same thing. I'm just better at realizing, oh, hang on, I'm doing, I'm better at it. It's a skill. And the more I do this, the more my body, when it finally relaxes into the generous present moment, as Joe Dispenza says, it finally starts to trust me, and I actually really watched that this morning in a different way this morning. It finally gives in and says, okay, I'm just going to be here now. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to get tired. I'm not going to get antsy. I'm just going to be here and present. And then I can just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper without going to sleep. And I can make those changes and the energy starts to release. And I'm so grateful that I can do that. It's a skill. You can do it. And then I stand up. I get on with my day. I rest, actually. I let my body integrate the changes it's made. Because when you get out of the way, your autonomic nervous system, the unconscious part of your neurology, goes to work and heals your body. Holly, it's you! It goes to work and heals your body if you can just quiet all of that fuss down, and it gets to, and then it can heal. And the brain can heal. And after that, I stand up, I go walking, and I feel different. And yesterday, I felt really different. Yesterday is kind of a red letter day. I know what happened yesterday. I stood up and I was a different person. And there was something about me that I could barely identify, which I'm a bit clearer about now. It's just, I feel different. And something has changed in my implicit system. It's just different. Yeah, and you get exhausted because there's so much energy tied up in that stress and that trauma, Abigail. Again, from the outside, I understand that. So that's my heartfelt invitation, is do this work that allows you to calm your brain and body down, give it a chance to heal, and at the same time you get to go in and change the programs. And you can't do it with your brain. You have to shut that off and get into the place where you're just awareness, you're just consciousness, and everything is coherent enough that you can connect with the divine, you can connect with the unified field, you can download new information. Energy comes in. It's not from me. It just comes to me and makes changes, and I just let it happen because I've learned to trust it. And you do have more energy after. So, and that's how you change. In your bones and your soul, you become someone else. That for me is how lasting change happens. There's no other way to do it for me. And I love it because it just makes so much possible that wasn't before. I can't tell you. Maybe I'll try one day. But oh my God, just the change in me is worth every minute I've spent. And each minute is so precious to me. It's such a beautiful process. So, big love. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Drop more questions in. I'll be glad to respond to them. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.